go fuck yourself. Somebody else deserves that job. You're not being paid to do your job at the complete absolute minimum efficiency possible. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe this is how people work in America and they don't give a shit about their job. Who knows? If I know I'm gonna quit, I'm just gonna be like, I'm not gonna try anymore. Fuck you guys for treating me badly. I quit. This is the very first time that I have ever stayed at an airport overnight. But Haeppy, why are you staying in the airport overnight? That's because I'm poor as fuck. Maybe saving $500 would be worth the 12-hour layover in San Francisco. Although that is partly true, the real reason is because when I was looking at the flights, I saw some of the tickets were like, whoa, $500 less than the others, and I didn't read that there would be such a long layover in San Francisco. In fact, I didn't actually realize this until 2 days before I had to fly back to Korea. Funny story though, I'm sitting right next to the United Airlines first class and business class lounge. And a couple hours ago, basically when I first got here, there was this really disgruntled customer chewing out one of the staff at the lounge. It was embarrassing, not for the staff member, because the staff member was acting really calm, but for that first class or business class, I think it was first class because he kept saying and he kept repeating that he was a first class customer. Yeah, it was very embarrassing for him because it's just, he sounded so entitled, condescending, lecturing her about customer service and all that kind of bullshit. It was just embarrassing. What happened isn't exactly that funny. It was actually pretty cringy. The funny part was when I looked up at the guy sitting across from me, and then we kind of made eye contact for a little bit, and then we both kind of chuckled after that customer had left, because that conversation, that entire little lecture, that altercation, nothing happened. That guy didn't gain anything from it, and from what I could tell, he had been there for a while. Even after sitting down, they had gone on for like 15-20 minutes before he stopped. And so we were both like, what was the point? What was he trying to gain? Because at the end of the day, it seemed like he cared more about to be right or whatever, or feel like he was some benevolent customer service teacher and lecturing this woman on what they should have done to make him feel better as a first-class customer. Here's the thing. I have a philosophy in life. Sometimes you have to be difficult. In fact, sometimes you should be difficult. As I talked about in my other vlog, difficult people get things. Unfortunately, that's just the way the world works. So if there's something that you really feel strongly about, you should be difficult about it. But most of the time, like 90% of the time, just let it go. Just let things go, because nothing's gonna change even if you are difficult. Case in point, this guy got nothing out of this. This guy basically got like the customer service runaround, and there was nothing he could do about it because she was basically following protocol, and the way she was speaking, you can't really create a rebuttal against it because she's being reasonable. She's saying, I understand you and I'm sorry for the way that you were treated by another staff. And then she ended the conversation by saying, oh, I'm sorry about that other staff. If only it was me in her place, then this wouldn't have happened. Well, what could you say about that? You can't refute it. It's a hypothetical situation. And she's saying that she wouldn't have treated him that way if it was her. And so this guy's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's all I was really saying. Well, thank you. Dude, come on. If you're gonna be difficult all the way through and demand something and get something for being difficult. What is the point of wasting like half an hour to 40 minutes being difficult for what? Just to jerk your own ego off? I must have taught this customer service agent a lesson on how to treat first-class customers. It's just fucking inane. Just have some pride, normal pride in yourself, and not make a fool of yourself and not ruin other people's days because you were unhappy with the way that someone spoke to you. If you were really that unhappy, take it up with the actual business, not the staff members, because nothing's gonna happen to them except for maybe ruining their day a little bit. And if that was your goal, then you are the dick. So yes, the lesson here, be difficult only when you actually gain something from it. Otherwise, just let it go. Also, unless you're dirt poor, avoid 12 to 13 hour layovers. And speaking of rude people, this is something I need an opinion. Please write your opinion in the comments after my story is done. On my flight from Toronto to Vancouver in the middle of the trip, a situation occurred. There was an older Chinese couple that sat in the row that's by the emergency exits. One of the flight attendants comes by and starts explaining how to use or how to open the emergency exits. I guess judging from their confused expressions, the flight attendant stopped and then asked if they understood English. Again, from their confused expressions, it was clear that they did not. Another passenger, Chinese, offers to come and translate. He explains to them that if they can't understand English, they have to move seats because it is a liability for them to be sitting at the emergency exits. Then the Chinese passenger translates this to the older Chinese couple. You would expect that that would be the end of it. It has been explained to you that if you can't speak English, you can't sit in these seats because if the plane does go down and you don't know how to open the emergency exits, everybody dies. But no, this older Chinese couple decides to start making faces and going like, I don't understand what's happening right now, blah, 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 blah. But here's the thing, you can't not understand what's happening because it was translated to you in your own native tongue. So what are you doing right now? All you're doing is being difficult for absolutely no reason. I guess maybe there was a reason. After about 10 minutes of this back and forth and of this flight attendant explaining over and over again that he's sorry, but they have to move, and the Chinese passenger translating all this over and over again, I guess they were just being difficult because they were old and they were Chinese, and old Chinese people are just difficult in general. Oh, I mean, I did forget to mention that I think one of the sticking points was that the woman wanted her husband to be able to sit in an aisle seat, but I don't understand why they didn't bring that up as literally the first point, like right after it was explained to them that they had to move. Being difficult for absolutely no reason because they're old and entitled. Maybe I'm just ageist, maybe I shouldn't have said old, maybe they're just entitled and has nothing to do with age or their ethnicity or their nationality. But in my experience, old Chinese people are just as entitled as entitled Americans are. Let me tell you, there are a lot of entitled Americans. Let me explain. But before I move on to that point, what do you guys think? Also, I forgot to mention that it wasn't like they were getting their seats canceled. It wasn't like that United case where they were trying to get the person to get kicked off the plane and saying that their tickets were being forfeited or anything like that. No, it was literally just, please move seats. We've already found other passengers that are willing to move seats with you. Was I right in thinking that they're being difficult for no reason and they should have just immediately said okay, or at least immediately voiced their concern about getting the husband an aisle seat? Or did they have a right to be upset about being forced to move when, honestly, if they didn't move, it would have been a liability to everybody else on the plane? That's just me. Put it in the comments. Moving on. Let me talk about entitled Americans. We had already started off with a story about an entitled American, but he was a first-class customer, and usually those kinds of people are kind of entitled because they're rich. And rich people are entitled, right? Not all rich people. Not the people who worked to get to where they are, usually. And not the people who are like old rich. You know what I'm talking about? Like the really old rich. And so they're kind of used to being rich, so they understand that being a dick because you're rich isn't exactly the classiest thing ever, but I digress. Let me talk about American airport security staff. It's actually fucking ridiculous.
Per day to a courtesy eligible, please.
It's actually fucking ridiculous. Let me explain. On my way from San Francisco to Canada, after having landed from Seoul to San Francisco, I had to go through another security check. This was an American security check. Don't understand why they are so rude. And we're not talking about white people here. I know all of you minorities out there, non-white people, are like immediately, must be white people, must be entitled white people. No. In fact, all three people that I had to deal with were minorities. There was one black guy, one Filipino woman, and one Chinese woman. And you would expect these three ethnicities, these three types of people to be extremely hardworking and not entitled at all, right? No. Number one, let's talk about the Filipino lady that was dealing with like people putting their valuables inside the gray bins and you know, making sure that they were putting in the right stuff, okay? The way she was talking was as if she didn't have that thick Filipino accent, as if she wasn't an immigrant or an English second language speaker. It was ridiculous. She was like firing off all the words and everything that you need to know to be put into these bins, except she wasn't really taking into account the people that were actually English second language speakers or
Your
even
attention, please note that once you exit the boarding area,
or even non-English speakers. She was speaking to like this older Indian couple who weren't being difficult at all. They were being very nice and putting things in the bins and stuff, but she had a scarf on. Apparently this Filipino woman had already said you should put your scarf in the little gray tub. First of all, she could have very easily been very kind and just said, scarf in the tub, please. No, she's just like, scarf in the tub, scarf in the tub, scarf. What? Why? Why would you speak to another human being like this? Okay, maybe you've been working very long hours. You get tired of saying the same thing over and over again. But why forget you're speaking to an actual human being? Here's the thing. It's not like you were purely American. It's not like you grew up here. It's not like English was your first language. You have a very thick Filipino accent. You are obviously an English second language speaker. When did you forget how hard it was to understand someone speaking that quickly in English? It makes no sense. Zero levels of empathy felt by this person. That's the sticking point right there. Lack of empathy, which leads me to the second staff member, the black guy, another minority. It's already bad enough that the racists use black people are lazy as a stereotype. Why would you fulfill that stereotype by being lazy or just not caring about your job? Again, not some entitled rich kid white boy who doesn't really want to do his job but is being forced to do his job because his parents want him to work or something, but he's actually completely taken care of and he's from an upper class family or something like that. No, okay? This guy was walking as if he really didn't want to be there. Like he hated his job. Like his job was the most difficult and unfulfilling job in the world. I mean, he's working in an air-conditioned building. He has a uniform and he probably isn't paid minimum wage. Or maybe he is paid minimum wage. Who knows? At least he's not out there shoveling rocks or being shot at or even being yelled at by the customers because nobody yells at security staff. If you mistreat security staff, you might as well be asking for them to take you to the side, put on some gloves and stick their fingers up your ass. Or worse yet, be shot for being a terrorist or something. Getting back to the point, okay, so this guy was walking as if he had all the time in the world. As if there wasn't a giant line of people waiting to have their stuff security checked. So this guy is walking by. The conveyor belt is still moving and there's just this giant pileup of those gray tubs or bins. And then he starts stacking them literally as slow as possible. As if he couldn't give two shits about them piling up. As if it wasn't even part of his job and he was just doing it for somebody else. Or like he got called on call or something and he had just woken up to get to his job. Here's the thing, I know that part of his job was to take the bags that are being put to the side that didn't like get through the x-ray for whatever reason. Maybe they had a liquid, maybe somebody left something sharp in it. I've seen him deal with it before, so I know that's his job, right? So here's what I don't understand, because I know, I can see, okay? I can see, I've got eyes, okay? I can see that there's 5 bags waiting to be checked. And this guy is moving as if there was nobody around him and he didn't have a job to do. Finally, after maybe like 3 to 5 minutes, he's like saunters over to the line of bags. Whose bag is this? And the thing is, it wasn't even my turn, okay? It was the person in front of me's turn. It was his bag. It wasn't even my bag. It was his bag. So that passenger's like, it's mine. We can't get mad. We can't get annoyed because they're like God in the airport. So this guy brings the bag over. He gets checked and he goes. What do you expect him to do now? He's just taking one bag from the line of 5 bags that need to be checked. Meanwhile, the gray tubs are still piling up because nobody else is dealing with it. What would you do if this was your job? You would expect him to speed the fuck up and haul ass to clean up the gray bins and then get to the bags that need to be double checked. No, that's not what he does. He ignores the bag. He just stands there with his hands on his hips as if like he's got nothing better to do. Like, I don't understand. Was he a manager or something? Did he not feel like he needed to do anything while he was there? I'm not exactly sure what was happening, but even if he was a manager, that's kind of a shitty thing to do if there's stuff to be done for you not to do it just because you have a title. This guy is just like slow, he just doesn't care. I'm this close to saying, are you gonna check the other bags? But I don't because I'm a pussy and I don't like confrontation and I also don't want to be arrested because I need to get to Canada. So finally, he gets to my bag, picks up the bag and he's like, whose bag is this? And I'm like, it's my bag. Now, I know exactly what is wrong because I had forgotten to take out like the can of juice that was in my bag. So I'm like, yo, I've got a can of juice in the bag. And he's like, where is it? I'm like, it's in the main compartment. Do you not know what a main compartment in a backpack is? So he's like, where? Oh, it's there. And I like touch the bag to open the zipper to show him that that's where the main compartment is because he's stupid and he can't tell where the main compartment in a backpack is. Immediately, he's like, no, don't touch, you can't touch. Like, dude, do I look like a terrorist? I literally told you, I know what it is. It's a can of juice. It's in the main compartment. And you're the one that asked me where the main compartment is. Obviously, I've already assumed that you're stupid because you don't know where the main compartment of a backpack is, so I have to show you this compartment. Again, am I overreacting here? If you ask me where something is and to show you where something is, why would you freak out when I show you where something is? Because I've already assumed that pointing to it isn't enough because you should have already known where the main compartment of a backpack is. Put it in the comments. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe this is how people work in America and they don't give a shit about their job. Who knows? Third person. Chinese lady. I actually have nothing to say about her because she actually did her job very quickly. Because the moment she came, she started dealing with the security badge. She started doing the tubs. So maybe I just put her in here to show that Chinese people are hard workers. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe I'm biased. Maybe because I'm Chinese. I don't know. Joke's on you. You thought there was gonna be a third slacker, a third entitled person. Nah, bro. I'm just putting her in there because I'm like, yo, she did a good job. It just so happened that she ended up being a minority and she ended up being a Chinese person. I'm not making no claims. But yeah, people frustrate me. I don't understand people. I don't understand people who don't try their hardest at a job. If it was me and I was working at security like that, I'd be stacking great tubs as if it was the great tub stacking championships. I would be getting to those security bags, getting it to those people quickly as I could because I know that people are waiting. And that's my job. Have some pride in your work. It doesn't matter what work you're doing. You're McDonald's, garbage man, sewage cleaner, construction worker. But if you're doing it to the best of your ability, that's something to be proud of. But if you're slacking off and you're giving the minimum that you possibly can, go fuck yourself. Somebody else deserves that job and deserves to make that money that will try harder. It just doesn't make any sense to me, the mindset of these people with these jobs that don't, I guess, try their best. That's really what it is. And to me, that reeks of entitlement. It's like, I deserve this job. I deserve to get paid for my time. Or things like, oh, I'm not paid enough to care. Yes, you are, because that's why you're getting paid, to care about your job and to do your job properly. And no, just because you're doing your job doesn't mean you're doing your job properly. You're not being paid to do your job at the complete absolute minimum efficiency possible. So I'm guessing the moral of the story is happy can also be unhappy at a lot of things. Actually, I don't really think that's the moral of the story at all because I'm pretty sure most of you who know who I am from We Fancy and have watched my live streams will know that I'm actually pretty angry. That's another thing that makes me angry, that makes me not happy, that makes me mad. Interruptions during my filming. Put it in the comments if you like this type of video, if you like watching me rant about stuff. I want to know if I'm wrong. I want to know if I'm being entitled and being angry is just a side effect of me being entitled and me thinking I'm better than everybody because I actually try my best when I get a job, things like that. If the job sucks, then I'll just quit. I'll just find another job, try my best until like a certain point, and then after that, if I know I'm gonna quit, I'm just gonna be like, I'm not gonna try anymore. Fuck you guys for treating me badly. I quit. But if I don't really, have those kinds of thoughts, if I'm not going to be quitting, then I'm going to try my best every day at work. Because that's just what you're supposed to do, right? That's what makes you a decent worker. That's what makes you a decent employee. Maybe that's why I get hired all the time. People confuse me. Give this video a like if you also relate. Share this video with someone who might get a laugh and also thinks the same way. Or maybe someone who violently disagrees with me so that they can keyboard warrior at me. And that's another happy ending.